Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. As the nation pauses to honor the birthday of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we can't help but wonder what Dr. King would think about the state of civil rights today, nearly 47 years after his untimely death. Last month, thousands of people converged on Washington, D.C. for the Justice for All March, reminiscent of Dr. King's civil rights marches in the 1960s. People of all races and backgrounds walked to protest the lack of indictments in the killing of unarmed black men by white police officers and to proclaim that Black Lives Matter. The event was organized by Reverend Al Sharpton and the National Action Network. Several busloads of people from the Detroit area took part in the demonstration. Joining me now to talk about his experience at the march is Stephen Singleton, who's the pastoral minister with the Archdiocese of Detroit. Welcome back to American Black Journal.
Oh, thank you.
And welcome back to Detroit from Washington, where I'm sure this march was a really moving experience.
It truly was. It was important for us to come together in solidarity to the right for justice for all black men. And in doing that, I wanted to make sure that I was a part.
Yeah. And so tell me about some of the people who went with you. You're a member of the clergy. There had to be other religious figures there too, but ordinary folks as well.
Yes, Reverend Williams, he went and...
Reverend Charles Williams, yeah.
Reverend Charles Williams, he is the president of the local chapter.
Of the local National Action Network, sure.
And he summoned all ministers to join him and allowing us to go there and try to make a difference, try to show force, try to show solidarity.
Yeah. I mean, these incidents certainly got lots of people's attention last year to the point where Black Lives Matter became, I think, one of the most popular memes on Twitter. There was a hashtag that was everywhere. This idea, though, that black people and black males in particular are sort of under siege from police officers who do not respect the idea of restraint or respect. That's really pushing us backward, it seems, in the civil rights discussion in this country. It does seem somewhat like we are back in the 60s where violence was regularly visited on African Americans.
Yes, and that's correct. Back in 63, I wasn't old enough to be a part of that.
I wasn't alive yet.
But I knew that it was very important because of the mere fact that the history that I understood was coming back again.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do whatever I possibly could to eliminate that. I know that black lives didn't matter then, and we're visiting that whole same thing even today.
Right.
I call it a modern day lynching.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you can look at these incidents, Ferguson, the Eric Garner killing in New York, the Tamir Rice killing in Cleveland, which there was a new video out last week showing the police response after this young man was shot by the police and lay there dying. Just the callousness that came across in that video, I think, was shocking to a lot of people. I think we like to believe that we have moved significantly past that point in our history.
But we haven't. And that's the reason why the march went on, and that's the reason why it was important for us to come together. There was a lot of people there, a lot of people from all over the state and in the area of the United States came in solidarity to march and show their support. One of the people that comes to mind was Spike Lee. He was very dedicated and determined to be a part, not necessarily be on the dais, but be a part of the march.
Of just the march.
Yes,
right.
Along with his daughter. And so it was important that he wanted to show his support for all of America. Right. And he carried a flag because he believed that this is still America and we still should be able to live like Americans.
Right. And that's one of the really important points here is this march is not saying, you know, America is a bad place or a place that we don't want to be part of. It's that we do want to be part of. We want our rights to be recognized the same as everybody else. We want to be treated like other Americans expect to be treated, especially by the police.
And that is correct, and that's one of the things that we had hoped to accomplish, to show the solidarity that we are not going to stand for this, you know. And it wasn't just people of color. There were white people, Jewish people that supported the efforts. There were, you know, white ministers as well as black ministers that was showing that we are not going to stand for this, because injustice here is injustice everywhere.
Right.
And that was the key thing.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the things that I, during the course of our march, I was marching actually with Spike Lee, and there was this lady that was on the side, and she was screaming, and as closer we got, we understood what she was screaming about, and she said that she wanted people to stop killing her black brothers, and she was hysterical about it.
Yeah.
So I left the march and went over to the side, and I gave her a hug, and I whispered in her ear, and I said, God is with us. Don't worry, God is with us. And she continued to scream and cry, and all of a sudden, she got the message that God is with us.
Right.
And she said, okay, and stopped crying.
Yeah.
So that was really, really good, and Spike Lee thought that that was a wonderful thing that I was able to do to calm her down. And that was many things like that happened during the course of that march.
Yeah, yeah. That emotion that we don't see all the time, or don't acknowledge all the time, that this is a very painful and scary period for African Americans in our history.
One of the things that also happened during the course of the march was that Dick Gregory was there in marching, and he gathered up the people that were from Ferguson, young people that were on the front lines, and they were very frustrated, and they really didn't know what to do. And he talked with them, sometimes pulling them closer to him and tapping their shoulder, and he had them surrounding him, and he was ministering to them in such a positive way. It brought tears to my eyes.
Right, yeah.
Because as old as he is, he knew that he could make a difference in trying to explain what young people should do at this time.
Right, right. There's often a lot made of the difference between the generational difference that sometimes rears its head when you get into this kind of activism, that older people like us who are of a certain generation may think that certain things make sense in terms of trying to make your point here. Younger people tend to be a little more radical about that, and think that perhaps more aggressive action is appropriate. And it sounds like that was evident in the march as well.
It was, because they were so frustrated. No one had heard them, even in Ferguson or nationally. The media was beating them up, so to speak.
Sure.
And they felt, uneasy about that. And they said, what should we do? And I think Dick Gregory, in talking to them, kind of gave them an idea of what they could do, and standing up and not leaning down.
Right.
And keeping their shoulders strong.
Right, right. I'm wondering if you have thoughts about, marching is a big part of civil rights history. Demonstrations and things like that have brought about great change as part of a larger piece, though. Marches alone aren't really enough. What are some of the things that you think people ought to be engaged in outside of going to marches that will make a difference with regard to particularly the violence that black males are experiencing right now?
Well, one thing that I did, and I urge everybody else to do, is that I wrote the president. I wrote him a letter stating that I was sorry that the disrespect and disregard that some of the congresspeople and the senators have for him. But I told him that he needed to continue to encourage young folks to be strong like he is strong, and know that they can have an opportunity to lead this country as well.
Right.
And in doing that, I didn't get a response.
Yeah.
I did that just before the march.
Right.
And I'm hopeful that other ministers and other people in the community would do a letter writing campaign. That would help in such a way that keep people's mind very at ease.
Keep the right, sure. What do you think about the role the president has played here? He's been out front at times, not at other times, talking about this. I can think of a lot of other people I think should have bigger voices in this as well. What's your take on where he is here?
Well, I respect him so greatly, but I think that he needs to be more out front.
Yeah.
I think that he can lead us greater, and with an effort of putting forth, of coming out to the different communities and speaking with them,
Yeah.
speaking with the young folks. I mean, that is very, very important. If you see your president in solidarity with you, that will make a difference in their lives and in the way they handle themselves.
Sure. You know, I've also thought that if President Obama were to call on more people who I think should have bigger voices in this discussion, that would be helpful too. I mean, I'm thinking of people like Deval Patrick, who was the governor of Massachusetts, a overwhelmingly white state that elected a black governor. He's had to deal with these kind of things before. Somebody like Mitch Landrieu, who was the mayor in New Orleans, a white man who was the mayor of a majority black city. Obviously, these kind of these situations and these issues come up there. Where are their voices in this in this discussion? And I think the president is the person who could probably push them to do that.
And I agree. I think that it's very important that the president come out and find different people in different communities that would be able to come back and speak with these young folks. They're very frustrated. I understand the frustration, because I also seen the frustration during the time of the uprising back in '67. I seen the, you know, all throughout my history of being here on this earth.
Right.
I seen young people frustrated, but I also saw some great leaders come to them and teach them.
Right.
We don't have that as much today.
It does seem like it's missing from the context, right?
Truly,
Yeah.
truly.
Yeah.
But one of the lighter moments that as
Yeah.
we were marching was kind of interesting. We had a lot of people taking pictures of Spike Lee, and the foreign press came up and didn't know why they were taking pictures, but they knew that.
Because they didn't recognize him.
So he thought he was famous, so they kept on encouraging him to answer, "Oh, who are you?" And so his response to just get him off his back was that, "I'm Tyler Perry."
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, so it sounds like you had some fun too.
Yeah,
while you were on the march.
you know, I said, Mookie, are you doing the right thing?
That's right. That's right. Great that you had the opportunity to go to the march, and great that it happened. And thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.